everyone. Welcome to the first part of Pretend to Hit Them challenge. No worries, it's not going to be as dramatic as it sounds. Right? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who still watch my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the uploads. And let's get into it, shall we? Hey, challenge time. No thanks, I'm not in the mood for any stupid challenges. Wait, give him space to explain, it might not be so bad. I don't know, most of the challenges that came lately weren't very nice. Maybe this one will be an exception? I wouldn't be so sure. Shush and listen. Your challenge will be to pretend to hit your partner. Say what? Are you serious? Are you okay in the head by chance? Absolutely fine. I wouldn't say so. Why would you want to hit your partner? I don't want to hit him, I said pretend. That doesn't change anything. Why would you even think about doing something like that? I'm doing it for you, you idiots. That's why you chose the stronger one from each couple? Yeah, for the right effect. Yeah, you definitely have a few screws loose. Did none of you notice how rattled your partners are sometimes? It's a good test for you if they trust you or if you need to work on something. But why like this? I don't need a challenge to know that. Enviable? No, it's not. It's bad. Come on, just don't hurt them for real and it's going to be alright. You can only say that because Oikawa never went through abuse. What he said. Go about it as you see fit. This is going to end so badly. It's been a long while since Kentaro lost all illusions about Iwaizumi and Oikawa's challenges. Probably around the time they started with them and dragged everyone along. However, this one, despite masked as a helpful thing, was probably the most awful he had been part of for years. The only worst thing Iwaizumi could come up with would be to actually hurt their partners. Though he was rather sure this was going to hurt Shigeru emotionally anyway, no matter how he went about it. Even if he wasn't jumpy as heck since the first assault. I'm going to regret this so bad. Who cares if he flinches from a hit? Everyone would know. Except Iwaizumi put a bug into his head. He wanted to believe Shigeru knew and trusted him enough to know he would never lay a hand on him. However, things were rarely this simple. And if Shigeru was, somewhere deep down, scared of him, he needed to face it head on and make it better. How? He had no idea. But he had to try. I can't go for an actual hit though. So what? Everything okay? Startled, he turned around when Shigeru's voice suddenly sounded behind his back, his hands instinctively clenching into fists. What? Sorry, you looked upset. Sensing an opportunity, Kentaro clenched his jaw and let his frown deepen, only careful about where he aimed his not-so-supposed anger to. Because I am. Oh, something at work? Yeah, I don't know where people get the audacity. It's so fucking annoying. He swung his arm in Shigeru's direction, horrified when he suddenly realized there wasn't as much space between them as he thought. He missed by a few centimeters at most. Shigeru watched him with eyes widened by fright from where he flinched away, his hands already half raised to protect his head. And Kentaro's heart shattered. Sorry, I shouldn't have asked. No, wait, please. I'm sorry, that wasn't supposed to happen. He reached both hands to Shigeru again, too worried he could scare him even more if he went for a hug right away. But a moment of hesitation before Shigeru moved to him was enough to tear his heart apart. He opted to not go for the hug just yet, and instead squeezed Shigeru's hands to hopefully help to get the message across. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you, I swear. I'm not actually upset. Or, well, I am, but not that much. It was supposed to be a challenge, to, pretend to hit you to see if... But I didn't realize there's so little space between us. I'm sorry, love. Letting out a shaky breath, Shigeru nodded jerkily and squeezed his hands back. But much to Kentaro's concern, didn't go for the hug either. Okay, that explains it. I was worried I made you mad. Never. I'm really sorry. But why would you do a challenge like this? Iwaizumi said it's a test to see if you trust me to not hurt you. It's stupid, I know. No one can trust anyone absolutely. He sighed. I guess I just wanted to know if you are scared of me, even if just a little bit. This time, the warm body pressed against him, the light tickling of the soft silver hair on his neck feeling like a soothing balm on his nerves and heart. I'm not. I know you would never hit me. It just surprised me, and you looked so mad that... But I'm not scared of you. Kentaro didn't comment on it further, despite knowing well it wasn't the case, and only pulled Shigeru closer to him, glad he at least wasn't flinching away from touches or trembling. That said, however, new fear unlocked in his mind that day. One he had no idea what to do about. Be it anything else, Terushima would gladly join in on the fun of doing a challenge. He was all for lightening the mood even through stupid stuff. But this was too much. Even if Daisho didn't have a history of flinching from mere touches and loud sounds, he would be hesitant. But with how fragile Daisho still was, he couldn't in his best conscience even pretend. Daisho would probably forgive him, just like he always did. But the trust he worked so hard on earning would be shattered. No matter how useful Iwaizumi think this is, it's cruel. I'd like to see him if Oikawa went through the same Suguru did. He gritted his teeth, upset more than he expected. But he had the right to be, no? If something threatened their relationship, it was only natural he wanted to prevent it. Screw all this. I have more important things to worry about. If they need a challenge like this to know if their partner is afraid of them, then that's on them. Yet, despite knowing all that, he just couldn't stop silently seething. He wasn't sure himself what it was that got under his skin so much, but once he started... Is everything okay? Raising his eyes from the laptop screen, he found Daisho looking at him with concern, the two glasses in his hands reminding him he asked his fiancée for a drink about 5 minutes ago to get a moment to sort his thoughts. Didn't work well then. Oh, no, it's fine. Thank you. He took one of the glasses, sipping on the extra cold juice in hopes to cool his head a little. How's the catering planning going? Anything new? Not really. They said they'll get back to me in about an hour. Though they still seem to have an issue with catering to allergies. Terushima clicked his tongue, his anger shifting on a completely different target. How can they have an issue with that? It's their business, damn it! Before he could catch himself, he slammed his hand into the table, making the glass jump. The glass and Daisho too. Guilt immediately replacing his anger, he sprang up before freezing in place, unsure if fast movement on top of loud noise wouldn't scare Daisho even more. Sorry, it's not my day today. I'm sorry. To his relief, Daisho just shook his head and accepted the silent offer of hug without flinching, and even squeezed back a little. Should we take a break from the planning? There's still a long time. We can leave it for a while. No, it's fine. Oh, maybe for today. How about we go for dinner? Hirano told me about this tiny new place that opened nearby. He more felt than saw Daisho smile, but even that was enough for his anxiety to melt away like the last snow. As long as Suguru was smiling and not scared, things were alright. Besides, he got his answer anyway. The thing Daisho was scared of were loud sounds and sudden movements, but not him. Otherwise, he would never hug him right after a scare. That sounds good. And then we will drop the catering company and find some other that doesn't think preventing people from going into hospital isn't a big deal. Why would we deal with their bullshit? This time, Daisho chuckled lightly against his shoulder, and Terushima's heart skipped a beat. Agreed. It's not worth the hassle. Great. Let's go then, shall we? There were only a few things Semi hated more than the current challenge. His slow recovery was one of them, but his mind was currently rather preoccupied. Just imagining Shirabu flinching from him made his heart ache. Seeing it would probably destroy him. If it was a few months ago, he wouldn't be worried in the slightest. Not with Shirabu, the most no-nonsense person he knew. Now, however, with how guilty his boyfriend felt sometimes, he wasn't so sure anymore. Surely he knows I would never hurt him, right? If he flinches, it'll be a reflex, not fear. For sure. He tried to calm himself down with it as he went around the flat to find Shirabu, finally catching a sight of him in the kitchen. Please be alright. He made his way behind Shirabu, who just waved him over while his eyes stayed buried into the bubbling pot in front of him. Hand me some bowl, would you? Quickly! Semi did as he was told, quickly fetching a bowl, but Shirabu didn't seem happy. Not this one, bigger one. Come on! Sighing, Semi bit his tongue and dug through the cupboard to find a bigger bowl, finally getting a nod of approval. He waited for Shirabu to finish whatever he was doing, collecting his courage in the meantime until Shirabu turned to him. Sorry, a little panic. Did you need something? Kinda. He left his fist a bit loose, just in case, and punched his hand forward like an attacking snake, aiming at Shirabu's cheek, and pulled his arm back just as quickly before he could make contact. Shirabu's face stayed unmoving, except for the lift of his eyebrow. What are you doing? Nothing. Testing. Uh-huh, testing. If you have time for stupid things, you can take the trash out. Relieved, Semi grabbed the trash bag and headed outside, his mind finally free. Seems like things didn't change that much after all. He was about to head back inside when two small kids rushed around the fence, laughing and shouting at each other as they chased each other around, followed by what he supposed were their parents, indulged in a lively chatter. He couldn't help but watch them for a moment, reminded of a dream he had for long years. Dream of having a family, watching his kids grow and go on walks like this. We already do that, no? We are a family. Except he could barely tell Shirabu and Kosuke he loved them, let alone lead a proper conversation or sing the baby boy to sleep like he always wanted. He tried to chase that thought away, forcing himself to think of the positives. But once the thought entered his mind, it didn't want to go away. Shirabu had to notice something was off too, as he stopped mid-breath and, leaving everything in the kitchen, he rushed to him to cradle his face in his palms. What's wrong? Did something happen outside? Semi shook his head. His throat was already aching from the morning, yet he still found himself gathering the last strings of his voice to speak. Moving too slow. Slow? Speaking. It goes slow. He coughed, his throat feeling like he swallowed razor blades. But it didn't hurt nearly as much as his frustration. Was there even a point in getting better? Hey, don't overdo it. I know it feels slow, but the fact you can speak at all is a huge success. So let's keep up the good spirits, yeah? Even though it's difficult. Alright. It's been a few days since Sakusa stopped spending nights and most of evenings in their apartment. They both agreed it was the best way to make sure they didn't clash again, though Sakusa highly doubted anything like that would happen. Atsumu got quieter since their argument. More than that, he went out of his way to clear the space around him whenever they spent time together. Sure, he didn't let anything show while they played on court, but even the others started to take note that something was different. Weird. Uncomfortable. At least Sakusa thought so, his heart aching every time he caught Atsumu giving him the strange, longing gaze. It was just for a while, just so they could cool off and think properly about their lives and priorities and such before they talked about it again and maybe set some new rules. There was no need to prolong that too much, right? He doesn't look like he's celebrating having the flat for himself. Truly, Atsumu looked anything but happy. Almost as if something broke in him and didn't want to grow together again. And Sakusa wasn't sure what to do. Just a few more days. Just to really test it out. Then we can talk again. That was, however, only one of his current problems. The other, more pressing one, was the stupid challenge. He hated even the idea of it. Despite what probably many thought of him, he would never lay a hand on anyone, less someone he loved. At least on a better day, he would expect Atsumu to hit him back. But now... Just do it quickly so we don't have to bother with it anymore. It still took him several minutes before he collected the courage to get up from the bench and actually walk over to Atsumu, despite them being the last ones in the changing room. Atsumu no less than jumped when he approached him, the hopeful yet careful smile on his face sending invisible shrapnels through Sakusa's heart. Hey, do you need anything? Yeah, that's something. Before Atsumu could ask for details, he thrust his hand forward, aiming the heel of his hand somewhere between Atsumu's nose and forehead. However, to his surprise and horror, Atsumu didn't even try to move away, and instead just squeezed his eyes shut as if to brace himself for the impact. Letting his hand fall to his side, he grabbed Atsumu's face to make him look up, careful not to squeeze too hard. What are you doing? It looked like you wanted to punch me. Well, yeah. I mean, no, not really. It was a challenge to just pretend to hit. I wouldn't... But why didn't you move or something? What was that? Atsumu blinked a few times, looking rather comical with his cheeks squished, but Sakusa didn't have the mind to think about that. I thought you were testing if it make you feel better. It would be fair, right? I gave you an emotional punch, you would give a physical one. Unable to believe what he just heard, Sakusa struggled to find words for the longest while, his thoughts racing a mile a second. Despite how it may seem, he knew Atsumu well enough to see he wasn't playing a victim to make him feel bad. He was more than serious, ready to accept the punch as a punishment for tearing into his heart. You better move if I ever do this again, understood? He wasn't sure why he said that, since he would sure hope Atsumu punched him back if he ever dared to lay a hand on him. But it seemed to have the desired effect, as Atsumu nodded after a short hesitation, some of the tension leaving his body. Okay. Are you coming home for the evening? Yeah, let's talk again. It might be good. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. So, as I said, I think I went really mildly in this part, considering the possibilities and options I had. So we will see about the second part, how that will turn out. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.